Good?
Yep.
Good evening. This is the Ridgewood Village Council Public Workshop. The date is February 4th, 2026. The time is 7:35 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled the same as provided by law of a schedule including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Councilmember Mortimer.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Perrin.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember Winograd.
Here.
And Mayor Vagianos.
Here. Will you all please join us in a salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let's go right to public comment.
Public comment is 3 minutes per person. At 1 minute, the bell will ring, and then I'll say time's up when time's up. Still have the bell.
Ann Loving, Ridgewood resident. First of all, I'd like to thank you for broadcasting the budget meeting, which we watched on Monday night. Very interesting. The meetings are run really well. I appreciate it. I realize that every department head is bringing in a wish list and that it's probably been pared way down by the village manager, and I appreciate that. But I especially want to mention that I appreciate that Councilman White's always questions things. This is really important, and in spite of the fact that the mayor in particular kind of ridicules him and jokes with him about this, he does it, and I appreciate it because, you know, wish lists are meant to be pared down, and these things should be questioned, additional expenses or seemingly exorbitant expenses. So thank you, Councilman Weiss, and thank you, all of you, for the meetings being broadcast. Regarding that, seemingly the meeting about parking in the downtown was not broadcast last night. If it was, my peers and I couldn't find it, and that's a shame because it would have been a really good thing to be able to, for all of us to see it. Now we're just going to have to rely on reports from people who were there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Good evening. Cynthia Hallaby, Ridgewood resident, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Conservancy for Ridgewood Public Lands, of which I am the president. I'm pleased about the item on the agenda for you to consider accepting the $6,000 gift from the Conservancy. The funds will be used to finalize the hardscaping under the pergola at the Children's Sensory and Butterfly Garden. It will both enhance the garden and make the surface area safer for our visitors. Since the Conservancy's inception 13 years ago, we have worked hard on our mission of enhancing Ridgewood public lands, and well over $100,000 has been raised from our generous sponsors and invested in our community. Year after year, residents and friends have generously responded to our annual appeal, and to them I say thank you. The Conservancy is very proud of the many projects so far. One very important one was working alongside the Parks and Recreation Department to re-landscape and open up the area around the War Memorial at Van Nest and making that a very popular place for community events. The Butterfly Garden is proving itself to be a magnet to Ridgewood residents, from children using it as an outdoor classroom to people appreciating the beauty of the plantings to artists who paint them, and to couples who are marrying there. Most importantly, to the countless pollinators which swarm there spring and fall. And the Conservancy, obviously, is proud of the fact that they continue to be a co-sponsor, along with Green Ridgewood, for the big spring event, the Daffodil Festival and Earth Day celebration.
Yes.
But it comes to, I think about this, lacking from this are the number of hours our volunteers have contributed in manual labor, which leads me to wonder, should the Conservancy, the Women Gardeners of Ridgewood, the new name, Ridgewood Beautification Team, and other volunteer groups try to add their work hours up, and then at the end of the year submit them to whoever it might be, wondering maybe these numbers could be used towards grant money. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I thank you for your time, and I think we're all looking forward to the spring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Anybody else?
John Fry, Irving Street. Last night, the parking meeting, that was good. I was there for the first hour of it until I had the opportunity to spend some time in the hallway with you, Paul. But indeed, I thought it was also very good that the few questions that were asked at the very beginning, the setup of the meeting, and then Keith, you did a great job emceeing the meeting and moderating the questions and creating that dialogue between everybody. I would like to see more of that in more meetings and creating that back and forth conversational tone. This is always a challenging environment for that, but I would like to set up meetings with all of you to have that happen more frequently. And I think that that would be extremely beneficial to the entire community. Obviously, we also know that we have our friends at Kensington and the challenges that we have going on there, as well as the other ordinances that are all before all of us. And indeed, I think that it's going to be passing off to the planning group and the planning. And that part of the process, I would like to see that if we could make those as virtual meetings. I realize that the planning group doesn't have virtual meetings on a regular basis, but because of the significant interest that's occurred across the town, I think that we have high numbers of people that are very interested in what's going on in these. We should make those also as virtual and incorporate them. It's going to be a process that's going to take them. It's going to be a lot of their time over the next year or 2 years as all these ordinances fall into place. And let's let the entire town become more engaged in them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? No.
You get special time. You're going to use separately.
You get your own
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
You're the only one I would say that to.
You're an agenda item. That's why.
Anybody else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment. I will mention significantly that there is a Mr. Hallaby who is watching. So I just want to mention that. John, as I mentioned last night, I know I am happy to come and meet with as I said, with groups of people from the neighborhood that abuts post Kensington. I'm sure that several other council members would like to do that. Of course, we can only go 2 at a time. It's kind of like a Noah's Ark of council members. So, you've got my number. Stay in touch and we'll figure it out. Thank you. Who else?
I just want to add one thing. So, wow, so working very well tonight. So, to my friend Ann, I do appreciate the very kind words. As you know, fiscal responsibility is one of the reasons I'm here. It's one of the reasons I get so excited about serving on the council. I will say I've never felt ridiculed by either the mayor or anyone else on this dais. We have our disagreements. They're always respectful, and the fact that we have disagreements is what democracy looks like, and I'm happy with that. But again, thank you so much. But I do, Paul, take nothing personally. I think your comments tend to be right on point. The humor misses every now and then a little bit, but
my wife says that.
But the intent is always good, though, Paul. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Anybody else?
Yeah, John,
Sure.
I'd like to say that anytime you want to meet, my email's online, happy to do that. And to Cynthia, thank you for all you and the Conservancy do. It's beautiful work.
So I also want to add, so big, huge thank you to the Conservancy and everybody who donates to it, also women's gardeners. It would be incredibly beneficial for you to add your hours up on Shade Tree, part of our annual tree report. And in our grant application, we do that. Like, so we add all the hours, we sign in the students, and we come up with it. It'll make us more grant worthy. It will also help us in the budgeting process. We are very well aware that volunteer hours and donations offset our budget. And sometimes it's sort of shocking to see, like after a Mulch Monday or a beautification, how many people show out when you translate it to hours. That'd be great. And Mr. Fry, just to echo, OTMA only allows 2 of us to come. I very much enjoyed my walkthrough, and I think everybody would do what I did last week with you guys. So just invite us in pairs and make sure we each know who's coming, and we will be there.
Anybody else? All good. Let's go to our manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things tonight. Yesterday, we accepted the bids on the Shedler remediation. That is an agenda item tonight that we will discuss in a short while. Mr. Fry and Mrs. Loving both referred to the parking meeting last night. Thought it was a tremendous conversation. I think what was most interesting to me in understanding the challenges of parking downtown is the groups of folks who have concerns about this issue who represent different constituencies. And what we have downtown, and it was clear yesterday during the meeting with the business owners, and I think it was even more clear last night with some business owners, but mostly residents and other interested citizens, was that we have 4 distinct constituency groups. The first are business owners and tenants who are trying to acquire parking that is closest to their place of business to encourage people to come there, patronize, be provided services, to purchase something, to enjoy a meal. The second are the residents who do not have assigned parking in the central business district, but who live there, who lie their head on the pillow at night, potentially above a storefront, but do not have an assigned parking space, and that becomes a burden to living in the downtown area. The third constituency group are the employees who work in the downtown, who need to find adequate parking in order to staff their shift. And the fourth distinct group are the commuters who use the downtown to either take the train or secondarily a bus to another location. It's interesting because all 4 groups, while equally important, have competing interests and competing desires, from the cost of parking downtown to the restrictive hours on Park Mobile. There was an array of discussion about a variety of different topics. Very pleased that Walker Consulting, who's conducting this study for us, was able to hear all that and absorb all that right from folks who have this experience each and every day here in Ridgewood. I think it was very healthy. I do want to just address the virtual hybrid access to that meeting. We worked very hard with Bob Rooney to try to come up with a date. Representatives from Walker had to fly in from around the country for this meeting. And last night there was a planning board meeting in this room, which is set up to broadcast and to have hybrid access. While we have done it downstairs, it is an IT challenge to set up all of that technology on the lower level. And I know that there is also a desire to want to broadcast more meetings, John, and I respect that. I come from a municipality that broadcasts their planning and zoning board meetings, so I see the value in that. But here in Ridgewood, it's staff time. It's funding to pay the staff to be able to broadcast those meetings. And in talking to Matt, we have some legal challenges about picking and choosing which meetings hit the standard of interest that we would move to hybrid. Because while there may be hundreds of people who are concerned about Kensington, there could be one person who's worried about their next door neighbor requesting a variance from the zoning board, let's say, and they want to opine but can't physically get here. And how do we say no to them but yes to another group that just happens to be larger? So there's some legal issues with the land use boards and the accessibility. Matt and I have had those conversations. I don't have an answer for you here tonight, I'll be perfectly honest with you. But we do only have 3 staff IT people who operate the system. They're obviously here 3 times a month for council. Just this month and the end of last month, they were here 4 additional times, or will be here 4 additional times for our budget meetings, which we broadcast. So it's very hard to ask those staff members to be here every night that there's a meeting. And that's one of the challenges. Now, Neil Gallone, who's our new Director of IT and GIS, he and I have started to talk about this, and there is staff over at GIS that we may be able to train to increase our ranks of folks who can help us from an IT perspective to broadcast these meetings, but that's an ongoing discussion, just so you understand the status of where we are. And had there not been a planning board meeting here last night, that meeting would have been in this room and would have been able to have been broadcast. With regard to the central dispatch, so we had our central dispatch management meeting at the end of January. I'm not sure if I'm pleased or upset that I was elected as the chair of the Central Dispatch Management Committee for 2026. But looking forward to working with the new business administrator in the borough of Glen Rock, Steve Neal, who comes to Glen Rock from Waldwick. Steve sits on that management committee with me, along with Steve Sanzari from Ridgewood, and Jackie, the clerk in Glen Rock. And we're working to do some really good work this year and recruit some additional municipalities to join the central dispatch operation. And lastly, I just want to let everyone know that we received 2 grant reimbursements this week. One is for South Pleasant Avenue and the project there in the amount of just under $52,000. The other was $67,702, and that was for the North Monroe Street resurfacing. In light of receiving the payment for South Pleasant, I met with our new engineer, James McGrath, today, and I directed him that when the snow melts, that he and his team are going to need to evaluate South Pleasant Street to determine what the future of the bike lane will be. Whether we move the bike lane outside the area of parking, or whether we eliminate it completely. But he and Chris Pierce, who led this project, are going to review that and come back with recommendations so we can change that in the springtime, which is not exactly sure what that recommended change will be. Just a few announcements. The village is continuing to sell parking permits downstairs in the lobby. If you do still need a parking permit, please bring your driver's license and a copy of your registration for each of the cars that you wish to purchase a permit. Snow removal, just another reminder, all sidewalks in residential districts, snow must be removed within 24 hours of the snow falling. The suspension of rear yard garbage collection continues and will continue until further notice. Sean Hamlin, who is our supervisor of sanitation and recycling, has been out inspecting properties. We still have a lot of ice on long driveways, and we do want to make sure that we are keeping our employees safe. So please continue to put your garbage on the requisite day, curbside, so that we can collect it and keep a safe environment for our employees. Bulk refuse collection, both on the east side and west side, will take place on Wednesday, February 4th. The collection will be limited to 5 bags only. That's actually today. That happened already. But just keep in mind that for bulk refuse, we are currently not collecting furniture, appliances, or other large items until further notice. Please place bags curbside on your driveway apron, not in the street. And again, this is just to protect our employees until we have some snow melt throughout town. The Ridgewood High School Jamboree 2026 celebrates their 80th show, Lights, Camera, Jamboree, on February 5th, 6th, and 7th at BF Middle School. Visit rhsjamboree.org if you would like to purchase tickets. All village offices and departments will be closed on Thursday, February 12th in observance of Lincoln's birthday, and Monday, February 16th in observance of President's Day. There will be no garbage or recycling pickup at the recycling center will be closed on that day. Please check your village calendar for garbage and recycling pickups for those 2 weeks, as they will change due to the holidays. We also encourage you to sign up for the Recycling Coach app, which will remind you about these changes to garbage and recycling pickups, as well as weekly pickups. And upcoming Village Council meetings, February 11th, next week, is our public meeting that will start at 6:30 next week, as opposed to 7:30, because we plan to introduce the budget that night, in addition to the affordable housing ordinances that are on for second reading. So we are starting an hour earlier that evening. February 25th is a council work session, begins at 7:30, and our last budget meeting will be this coming Monday night, February 9th at 5 p.m. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Keith. Let's go to council reports. Frank?
I don't have a council report, but my daughter's birthday this weekend, so I just want to say happy birthday, Ella.
Nicely done. Siobhan?
Sure, so I only had 2 meetings. So the Fields Committee meeting met yesterday, and I'm pleased to announce to the whole council that it was pretty much a happy moment talking about our software application and how beneficial it's been. And so we've done really well with Nancy's hire of David Wild for the planning and the scheduling, and the Board of Ed, because it's a dual committee. London Mulcahy also got a big shout out from basketball. So the users are finally very happy, feeding the system, working through the intricacies, and it was just, in general, an incredibly pleasant thing to hear about how well that application is working for scheduling, and it's not being managed on pieces of paper. We had a discussion of many things. We didn't meet in January, so we just got caught up. We reminded the sports groups to submit their annual documentation, and there were really no other outstanding issues. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, March 3rd at 8 a.m. And I do just want to say that with the discussion of hybrid, several of my committees do meet via hybrid. So this, obviously, Evan and I ran on Access here, but on my committees, I run hybrid for Fields, for Stigma Free, for Access. So if anybody wants to come to any of those and see us in a different way, you're more than welcome. If you have trouble finding the link, just let me know. But we always love it, and pajamas are welcome. Just don't turn your camera on. And lastly, I wanted to just give a shout out that the tickets for the book at the library luncheon went on today. Anna Quinlan, this is a big deal for our library. The tickets are on sale. They're selling quickly, so buy them and please join us with the Friends Celebration, which is always lovely. And on Tuesday, we will be meeting with Shade Tree downstairs in the garden room, so anybody is welcome to that. That's it.
Thanks, Siobhan. Evan?
None of my committees have met in the last month, in the last week, but I too would like to wish Frank's daughter a happy birthday.
Thanks.
There you go. Pam?
The planning board met last night, and we considered the ordinance that the council introduced last month to vacate property at the center of Grandview Circle. And the reaction of members on the board was, well, this is a no-brainer.
Thank gosh.
Why would we not do this? So the council will be receiving a letter from the planning board saying that they are in agreement. Green Ridgewood meets tomorrow night downstairs in the senior lounge. And let's see, Central Business District Advisory Committee will meet February 12th. Even though the Village Hall is closed, we will be meeting by Zoom, 8:30 in the morning. And it's obviously open to the public, so if you would like to join us, the Zoom link is on the agenda, and we will be discussing parking. We discuss parking a lot. So I'm sure we will be rehashing what the meetings that Walker had with us.
And just so you know, Grandview Circle was an issue that came up, I think, my 3rd day here. So as easy it was for the planning board to say it was a no-brainer, it took 2 years plus worth of work to get the residents on board, but it is definitely the right decision to vacate that property and not have a landlocked piece of municipal property that really serves no purpose for the village.
Right, and they brought up that, to have property that you can't maintain is a liability.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Matt, for figuring that all out.
A lot of help from my friends.
All good. And I have nothing to report, but I will also wish Ella Mortimer a very, very happy birthday. She may be she's certainly one of my favorite members of the Mortimer family. And we will leave it at that. And we're going to change the order. We're going to move item D1, the request for Ramadan crescent lighting, up to now. Mahmoud, would you come up and join us? And if you could just make sure that the microphone is on by pushing the button and the green light is on.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
So if you would identify yourself, who you are, your name, and any title that you have in relation to this.
My name is Mahmoud Hamza. Mahmoud, like when you're in a good mood. So my mood is good, so I hope everybody is in a good mood now. I live in 528 Amsterdam Avenue. Been living there now for 34 years. And I have something to share with you. Can I read it?
Sure.
You may. Why don't you, well, go ahead, just read your letter. Go ahead.
So first, good evening to all of you. I thank you very much for everything you're doing for the village. I'm speaking on behalf of the Muslim community of Ridgewood, many of whom have proudly called this town home for decades. I'm one of them. We love Ridgewood, its warmth, its sense of community, and its beautiful diversity. We are proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with our neighbors, celebrating together at Christmas, at the menorah lighting, and at any moments that bring the whole village together. These shared traditions are what makes Ridgewood feel like home. Tonight, we come with the same spirit. We would love the opportunity to share one of our own happy customs with the wider community by adding a crescent lighting as an expression of culture and joy meant to share, not to separate us. For many of us growing up, the sight of the new crescent moon was a moment of excitement. The new moon indicates the beginning of a new month for Muslims, Christians, Jews, Chinese. We all have the lunar calendar. As children, we would sit with our families listening to the radio. Yes, I'm old enough to just be listening to the radio at some point, or watching TV, waiting to hear whether the new moon had been seen. That simple announcement meant a new month had begun, a moment of anticipation and happiness. Sometimes it marked the start of Ramadan, sometimes it signaled Eid. Eid is a holiday, a time, family generosity and celebration. Around the world, cultures mark time and season in different ways, and they express joy through different symbols. In here you have in Christmas, you give gifts. In our culture, we used to give money. So the day of the Eid, everybody is ready to visit the grandma, and we count at the end of the day how much money we got. Okay? To be clear, the crescent in this contest is not a religious symbol. And this is something very important I want to say. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with just the moon. It is a cultural one tied to the lunar calendar. Like other traditions that follow lunar cycles, the birth of the new moon simply marks the beginning of the new month. We are committed to work closely with the management and to ensure any installation is tasteful, safe, and fully consistent with the character and the values of Ridgewood. Thank you for your time, your openness, and for continuing to make Ridgewood a place where neighbors celebrate not only side by side, but together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahmoud. It is a pleasure having you here. I'm going to open this up to council for comment.
So I know we were talking about Grandview being a no-brainer. This one, to me, is an even bigger no-brainer. Mahmoud, as always, thank you for all you do for the community. Every time you're here, I'm happy because you always bring happiness with you. We do a menorah for Hanukkah, we do a creche for Christmas. There's no reason why we should not do a crescent for Ramadan. If you would afford me the honor and you need an extra set of hands, I'd love to help you put it up. But I'm an enthusiastic yes for all of our Muslim neighbors and friends. And again, just thank you for yet again being a pillar of the community and bringing yet another really good idea to us.
Mahmoud, you say it's going to be tasteful, but the picture you show is beautiful. This is really a work of art. I look forward to its installation.
Thank you.
I think it's going to make a beautiful corner even prettier. If you want to have a kickoff event too, I think we would welcome that. You know, if you want to do any type of social gathering when it's first mounted, let us know. I know it's just, the request is just for its display, but similar to these others, if you want to have an event, let me know. It'll be good to work with you again.
And I'd probably say yes as well. I'm excited to see it because I think the picture was beautiful and just would be an honor to have it here in Ridgewood. And so wholeheartedly, I say, let's do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mahmoud, Evan said as you walked up, he whispered to me that when you walk into the room, you raise the level of what's going on in a room. And we are so happy to have you here. And as I had mentioned to you previously, this was going to be a layup. That being said, I have a question, and it was something that we had discussed, which is, can you lay out for us the time frame that this will be up for? I know you said it will be up for Ramadan, which is 40 days. So what is, and you talked about having a ceremony of some sort ahead of time. So why don't you lay out for us when this would be up?
Okay. So, Ramadan is a month, and, we would like to, and this is a would like to, like the beginning of the month to the end of the month, okay? But, we can work it out.
I don't see any problem with that time frame. I mean, we keep the Christmas tree up for more than a month. So again, let us know. Tell us, when does Ramadan, do you know when Ramadan begins?
Ramadan will start.
When is Eid?
Yeah. Ramadan will start February 17th, and the Eid is March 21st.
So the 17th to 21st, and I know you talked about having this up for a few days before Ramadan begins to have some kind of a ceremony?
Yeah. A simple ceremony, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And we would like people to come. It's not a Muslim ceremony, it's a Ridgewood ceremony. So we would like to, make it clear to everyone it's time for us to have fun. Like, when I go to the Christmas lighting, when the menorah lighting, I feel the joy being with my neighbors, and I think that's our objective too. We want people to come and feel the joy with us.
And because I want everyone to feel the joy, would you just tell us a little bit about Ramadan and what Muslims do during Ramadan and why they do it?
Okay. Ramadan has two sides of it, the social part and the religious part. Yes, we fast, we don't eat or drink from an hour before sunset to sunrise to sunset. We're supposed to be very polite, very patient during the day. But the most important thing is we have to be generous, care about the community. As a matter of fact, it's recommended that we open our houses for people to come. And the word we say, the worst table is the table where you invite rich people to it. You want people to come, and you want to show that you care about the community you're living in. So this is the social part of it. And that's why, we feel when we're kids, we're enjoying it because of the time the house is open, that the kids, we were singing in the street, and we used to eat things, we don't eat them all year around, Like in country, like in Egypt, nuts were very expensive. We only have them in Ramadan, okay? Here, we have them all year round, but imagine, I remember, grandparents have the nuts and give you nuts when you break your fasting, and we're all, joyful about it. So it has a religious aspect of it, but if you go to different countries, it have different cultural part of it. And even among the Muslim community, where this is the part we start to enjoy, that it is not the same for everyone. The baseline is the same, you're fasting, but how you celebrate it is different.
But the part about the fasting from an hour before sunrise until sunset is a very long time. I know that can be very arduous. I know that in summertime, to not be able to drink water for what is a very, very long day, why do Muslims go through that kind of sacrifice?
Okay, that's a good question, okay? Now, as the lunar calendar is 10 days shorter than the solar calendar, So Ramadan keeps moving. 33 years, Ramadan comes in the same time again. And by the way, that's a trick. You can tell somebody's age. When did he start fasting? And then you can right away figure out, how many cycles. But I think it is, and I did fast in July, it was very hot. That's the time you start thinking about life and your relationship, that you're not just to satisfy your needs. You have love for something else. You're willing to give something else that's, dear to you. And amazingly, you go to work, you have the food in front of you, and nobody's looking. So if you want to eat, you can eat. Nobody's going to tell you anything. But you do it, and you feel a different relationship you have. You feel lighter, as a matter of fact. The first couple of days are the most difficult one, and the hardest thing in Ramadan is not the fasting, is to control yourself. And that's the hardest part. You go, you have, I go by the machine every day and when it's not Ramadan, and I don't even look at the food in the machine. But in Ramadan, you go to the machine, I look at it and say, I wish I can take something right now.
Well, thank you for that explanation. I have been to many iftar, and I know that the warmth that we find there is what we are going to see at Van Nest when the crescent symbol is placed there, and we all look forward to it. So please let us know whatever you need from us to assist in making this a reality. We're very excited that this is happening on our watch. So
Thank you very much. And as I said, you're my family. Thank you. Thank you very much.
have a good evening. And now let's go to boring stuff.
Mayor, moving on to our agenda items, tonight under Ridgewood Water, we have the Deputy Director of Ridgewood Water, Bill Bierwas. Unfortunately, Rich Calby had a death in the family today, so Bill is sitting in for him tonight, and he has 4 items to review with the council.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Keith,
Good evening,
Matt,
Bill.
and Heather. I don't take offense that you consider this boring either, Paul. Put that on the record. I got 4 items on the agenda for tonight. The first being a professional service contract with WSP Incorporated. They are Ridgewood Water's hydrogeologist and engineering services. They take care of NJDP permitting, oversight of well contractors, and rehabilitation of Ridgewood Water's wells. This is an NTE not to exceed of $109,000 for the calendar year 2026. We recommend WSP because they're very familiar with our unique water system. The next item on the agenda.
Anybody have any questions on the first one?
Nope.
Good.
Good, thank you. The next item is Phase 3 of our security upgrades at various water facilities. This is through the ESCNJ Co-op. It's the final of 3 phases at our last 4 PFAS plants. It's with a company called OSI, Open System Integrators. They take care of our smart door locks, our security cameras, and integration with the SCADA at water headquarters. The amount is $311,493.82, not to exceed.
Questions? Let's go.
Okay. The next is an amendment to Chapter 145 of the Ridgewood Water Code. This is a rate adjustment. This is an 8% increase to the volume rate, also an 8% increase to the facility charge. What this means is an overall increase of 11.3% to the average customer. That is an annual increase of $87.52 to a customer using 7,000 gallons per month. This was reviewed by Raftelis. This is our independent consultant. They reviewed it. They found it to be not only reasonable and appropriate, they also stated it is in line with industry standards, and they had one other statement on this. It's in the report.
I know, Bill, we talked about this at the budget hearing as well, so.
Yeah, it will be talked about next week, too, if there's any further questions.
So just through you, Mayor, this would need to be adjusted by ordinance. So our proposal is that we would introduce this ordinance next week, so it would align with the budget calendar. and be in line with the 2026 Ridgewood Water budget as it was presented and as it will be presented for a vote next week.
And I just want to say, because it's a work session, for clarification, it's important that the timing goes hand in hand, because a budget increase and this increase will be an increase to the overall residents. So we don't want to be discussing what your tax potential increase could be and something like this, because to the household, it's all additive. And we understand why. So to Evan's point, we had a more robust discussion about that in budgeting, but to the public, the timing is important because it's an expense to the general public.
Of course.
And
And I
this
do just want to echo Bill's statements. This adjustment is on par with what Raftellus had projected moving forward between the PFAS improvements and then the general operating of Ridgewood Water. This rate increase is in line with the projected rate increase that have been discussed by Ridgewood Water with the village council in the past.
And starts in the third quarter, right?
That is correct, third or fourth quarter, depending on pass.
Anybody else? Let's go.
All right, the final item is to authorize the refund of an overpayment on a water account. This customer actually made payments on his water account after selling the house. So he figured it out. There's actually 3 properties he paid twice. So you'll find attached not only his bank records, but also our internal records proving same. It's just a refund.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bill.
And a final item, happy birthday to Frank's daughter. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks for highlighting. I thought that was all. Good. All set. Keith?
Under budget tonight, we have the authorization of a shared services agreement for cosmetology inspections from the Ridgewood Health Department to the Borough of Norwood. This has been ongoing since 2022, and we are due to extend this contract. The proposed amount of time to complete these inspections on an annual basis is less than 35 hours. And the fee charged to Norwood is $48 per hour for regular business hours, $72 per hour for after-hour calls, and we charge an annual $500 administrative fee for inspection hours, which is in line with other shared services where we charge that administrative fee as well.
Questions?
Excellent.
Let's go.
Okay, the next item is the acceptance of a donation. Excuse me one second. Hold on. There we go. Next item is the acceptance of a donation from RBSA for field renovations at Veterans Field. RBSA has presented the latest field renovation project to the Parks and Recreation Department, and they also made a presentation to the Parks and Recreation and Conservation Board at its meeting of January 27th. This would be an improvement to the 90-foot baseball diamond, as well as both the northeast and southeast softball fields within the Veterans Field Park. The varsity baseball diamond, as well as both softball fields, are heavily used through the spring, summer, and fall season and require renovations to restabilize the playing surface for safety and to adhere to regulation standard for play. The baseball field improvements will include laser leveling of the fields to proper elevations, regarding infield and baselines, adding pro-choice conditioner to the playing surface, adding premium bagged clay to rebuild the pitcher's mound and the batter's boxes, and install the new pitcher's mound and home plate. The softball field renovations will include squaring the fields and resetting the bases, rebuilding the pitching lanes and the batter's boxes with premium mound clay and pro-choice conditioner. The proposals that were submitted and that RBSA is planning to use is the same contractor that we used at Hawes, which is John Redmond of New Jersey Sports Fields of Edison, New Jersey. The cost for this, all 3 fields combined, is $26,900. The work will take place later this spring and will be supervised by our park supervisor, Matt Andrula. This is a donation, and we're asking the council to consider the paperwork that's before them tonight to accept this donation and move forward with this project at Betts Field.
I'd say thank you to the RBSA.
I
That's
I
very
think we all
generous.
echo
They
that.
just keep coming through.
Thank you,
Yeah, and I was-
RBSA, it's great.
I think that's well said. They keep coming through, so.
Yeah, and their presentation at the PRC board was amazing, just like how much passion goes into making sure that the fields look so nice, which is more of a safety issue, because currently I guess that because the clay settles, that it actually goes up so the ball can pop up. and this will make it level, so it'll actually be safer as well as more beautiful to look at. So really, personally, having sat through the entire presentation, I want to give them a big thank you.
Yep. Well, good. Let's go.
Okay, going back up to budget, item 2, rescind and replace Resolution 2621, annual maintenance for software for the Finance Department. There was a typo in the resolution that was originally presented to council, so what we're looking to do is rescind that and replace it with a not-to-exceed amount of $33,377.53. And again, this is for the Edmunds software that we use across departments.
Everybody good? Let's go.
Okay, the next item is, as I mentioned earlier, the Shedler remediation project. We rebid because the original bids that were received all exceeded the estimated cost. We rebid and received bids yesterday on Tuesday, February 3rd at 10 a.m. Believe it or not, there were 30 plan holders that picked up bid specifications for this project. 11 returned bids yesterday, and the bids ranged from a low of $2,635,151 to a high of $6,034,234.60. The summary spreadsheet is attached for the council's consideration, but the apparent low bidder is North Star Environmental Services of Claremont, New Jersey, with a low bid of $2.6 million. The village has discussed with the representation of North Star to ensure that they understand the scope of work for this project, and our engineering department is confident that they understand the scope of responsibility here. So moving forward, just to set next steps, now that we know what the cost of this is going to be and that the low bid is $2.6 million, we need to work on the financing aspect of this. We currently have $1.1 million that was allocated by the council previously for soil testing and for the first steps of remediation. So that money is appropriated and available for this project. We are currently in conversation with the Bergen Joint Insurance Fund about the claim that has been filed with them for this particular project. And we are also in discussion with them about the possibility of attaining a low-interest loan through the Joint Insurance Fund as part of a package to assist the village with this project. So I spoke to Dave Grubb, who is actually a former council member, two-time council member here in Ridgewood, but he is also the executive director of the Bergen JIF. He and I are going to have additional conversation tomorrow, but I think the intention is between any claim that we receive on this, in addition to the loan, that is what we are going to need to utilize to bridge the gap of the $1.5 million in order to do the remediation at the Shedler property. So if there's a general consensus amongst the council that that is the path forward, I will open up more specific conversations with the Bergen Joint Insurance Fund and talk to the leadership there to pursue that path and put this together. And then I would anticipate that we would be able to award this contract at the March 11th council meeting in order to move forward with the project.
Questions?
So Keith, just to clarify for everyone, that this money is solely 100% to take out the dirty dirt for remediation, so independent of anything else at the Shedler property?
This would not have anything to do with park development. This would have to do with the remediation of the contaminated soil and the ground preparation.
And that's it?
Yeah.
Other questions or comments?
Well, again, just to follow up on that, I think that no matter what would happen in the development of the park or not a development of park, the remediation needs to happen. And so because the remediation needs to happen, it's worth the money to do it.
Yeah, we have an approval from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection to remediate this property. And we're obligated to meet the criteria of that approval. So the park development project should be viewed as a completely separate and distinct work effort from what we need to do here with regard to the soil remediation.
And I'll just say, I've been involved in these discussions with Dave Grubb and some of the other board members, and they are very sympathetic to our situation. We haven't finalized anything, but we are discussing some package of grant money and low-interest loan that I think is the most advantageous way to get this project completed for the village so that we have a clean piece of property from which to work with. Everybody good?
Yeah, I just want to say, clearly, this is extremely expensive, and I'm not going to echo completely what Frank said, but I think the whole community recognizes the dirt is dirty, it needs to be removed, this has to happen no matter what, it's a fait accompli. I do want to thank you, Keith, and everybody for looking for alternate sources of funding. $2.6 million is expensive. It's a sunk cost. It needs to be spent, and we are grateful that we have approval to remediate it so we can begin this process. I don't want to seem insensitive, and I'm hoping Evan echoes that. It is a lot of money, and we, I don't even know if the word happy to do it, but it needs to be done, and I'm happy to remove the dirty dirt and deal and have the land just cleaned up.
I think relief is the more appropriate
Yeah,
word,
and-
at least amongst the
And
staff.
just in terms of the cost,
It's a lot.
while it's a tremendous amount of money, the fact that we've gone through 2 rounds of bidding, I think we got 11 or so bids the first time, and this time, this is the singular lowest bid from both rounds, from 22 or so submissions.
Right.
And it's by a decent margin.
And the difference between, or the delta that was estimated early on in this project to now is that trucking and disposal fees have soared during that time period. Because I did drill down and ask a lot of questions of the engineers on this project as to how we came up with the original number versus where we are today. And they were able to illustrate the increase in the trucking and disposal costs. They've increased quite dramatically.
And my concern would be that they would continue to rise
Right.
the longer we
The
wait.
longer you wait, the more
clearly.
expensive it could become.
No, and I'm relieved that the decision to rebid it was good. That was
Yeah.
definitely good.
I'm certainly in favor of fixing the situation that we have with the contamination. I am anxious about the pressure that's puts on our capital budget, and if we wanted to save money, we would put off installing artificial turf.
Anybody else? Let's go.
Okay, so I just want to set expectations here and for the public's edification. This will not be on as an award of contract for next week because we have to have the financing in place before we can award the contract. So I would anticipate that we'll award this contract in March. And we will, with the council's approval tonight, we will get on the phone again tomorrow with Dave Grubb, and we will chart the path forward with a combination of some claim money, which is yet to be determined, and the balance with some sort of loan from the Bergen Insurance Fund.
You clearly have the support of the council to begin those discussions.
Very good. Just wanted to be clear.
Yep.
Okay, next on the agenda is the donation of the concrete patio children's sensory garden at the stable through the fundraising efforts of the Conservancy for Ridgewood Public Lands. I think Cynthia explained this better than I could at the beginning of the meeting, but they have done a design, and it's planned to be installed by B&B McAtee Construction of Wayne, New Jersey. This includes the demolition and excavation of the area, as well as the installation of stamped concrete, pressure washing, and the application of sealant. The price for this project is quoted at $6,450.
And I'm just going to start this off. Cynthia, we can't thank you and the Conservancy enough for the beautiful work you do, for the contributions you make. You, again, I keep quoting my mother-in-law, many hands make light work, and this is a big deal. Anybody else?
No, great. Cynthia, just thank you so much, and to you and the entire Conservancy. Really, really great stuff.
And as a spokesperson for pollinators, I'd say thank you.
And lastly on the agenda, there is a request with regard to the local recreation improvement grant for a community garden at Habernickel Family Park. We've sort of changed our focus this year with the DCA recreation grant. We did the skate park. We've done some other, true active recreation improvements with this grant. This year, Nancy Bigos and Katie Fry from our recreation department have sort of redirected this grant to a new community garden at that location, and the grant amount that we're requesting from the state is not to exceed $75,000.
Questions?
I'm very glad to see this because the community gardens that we have behind the stable get flooded all the
Yep.
time.
That came up in the discussion as well.
Yeah, and what I'm a little unclear about is where the community gardens will be at Habernickel. Is
I can
it
answer that, because we
Yeah.
talked about during PRC, it's where the barn was.
where the barn was? So not where the existing
No, that's-
vegetable garden is?
That's Stacy's
Yeah,
property.
that's hers.
So it would be next to it, where the
Okay, good, because it'll get plenty of sun, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be down in the dell
no, I
by
asked the
the
same question
pond.
at PRC.
And-
Okay,
And
The
Frank, are
the
the,
existing health barn garden would stay intact.
Correct.
And then this would be built adjacent to it, but separately.
and are the beds raised?
I don't know that.
So one of the things if we
Right,
could,
with-
yeah, so I'd love to know that from the community garden. The lower beds have, older gardeners don't love that, so if we could have some raised beds. I know that when we had the community gardens at Shedler, that was the plan before we pulled them out. The gardening population, which works twice as hard as anybody, has really wanted to have
Right.
raised beds.
Certainly a discussion we can have with recreation.
Yeah.
one more thing. That was an old barn, and it was painted. We should check for lead in the soil.
I have a feeling if we check, we may find something. So,
Well, we did.
We did soil
We did
sampling
soil
up there.
sampling.
I have to go back and look at the report and and take a look at whether or not the barn area was tested specifically. But we can
there was
do
a-
that. And if not, before obviously we built a garden, we would do the appropriate testing. I can tell you that the existing garden for Health Barn was tested and there were no issues.
Great.
everybody good?
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Let's go back to public comment.
Cynthia O'Keefe, Ridgewood resident. I had a couple of questions. I don't know if you're going to answer them, but I'm going to ask them. So for the soil remediation at Shedler, the lowest bid was 2.6 million. That's almost double what the 1.5 million bond was. But what happens when, you said, you made the comment that engineering confirmed with North Star that they understood the scope of the assignment? I mean, I would hope so. That's a little scary to me that, like, there's groups bidding 6 million, and they came in at 2.6. So how does it work when they realize they can't do it for 2.6? Are there change orders? Are they going to come back and ask for more money? Are we beholden to them to, I don't know how that process works. If someone can explain it, it would be really helpful. Because it's very concerning. It's an awful lot of money. The berm was also intended as a safety protocol, as a risk mitigation from cars coming off the highway. So, it's also very concerning that there doesn't seem to be a risk mitigation plan. And then finally, we had asked as a neighborhood for some consideration that you would let us know in advance when work is being done, that would require like trucks coming in and out because it is contaminated soil. But there was tree removal, there was, I guess, a number of workers on that property that had big excavation equipment. We have pictures, and the neighbors all wrote to you and asked for consideration, and we were told, I'm sorry, we don't do that for other projects, so we're not going to do that for this project. So we're sitting ducks in this neighborhood with children boarding the bus right across the street from the property, and they're heavy equipment. You know, it's just not acceptable that you can treat this neighborhood like this and marginalize this neighborhood when there are going to be hundreds or thousands of dump trucks coming in and out of that property. And then to have us be told that, like, well, we don't do it for other projects, so we're not going to, you know, go out of our way to inform you is just astounding, okay? Astounding. So I would like to know how are you prepared to communicate to the neighborhood what this plan is going to entail in advance so that we do know what's going on. And we're not just looking out the windows and wondering what's going to happen to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Ann Loving, Ridgewood resident. It was interesting to hear former Councilman Grubb's name being mentioned because he's a South Irving Street person, or he was at the time, South Irving Street. Brings up another former council person. I asked a while ago when Lorraine Reynolds' photo is going to be on the board. It's now 13 months since she left office. The framed photo really needs to be put up soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Boyd A. Loving, Ridgewood resident. Change order. That scares me to death. $2.6 million. The new sheriff in town, Mr. McGrath, should tell this group we are going to accept no change orders on this project. Change orders are what really kills the taxpayer. That we go out for bid, they submit a bid, and then all of a sudden these change orders start to roll in, and some expert tells the council, some staff member tells the council, well, we've got to do this. Can we please have no change orders on this? Can the new sheriff in town indicate that the council does not have the stomach for change orders, and let's just put an end to the change orders right off the bat with this new sheriff. The old sheriff seemed to just submit change orders left and right. It sickened me, the number that came in, so hopefully we can stop that this time. There were some comments made about televising or broadcasting meetings. Heather is probably the only one in this room who has attended meetings for as long as I have, and I recall that there used to be 3 people in this room. There used to be 2 camera people and a person in the back, emergency services volunteers. They were being paid, but they were emergency services volunteers. Then we went to this new system where we put the automated cameras in, and Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't there no people in the room? There was nobody in the control room in the back? Or was there one person in the back? Okay, so there has always been one person. Is there a way that we can do this with nobody so long as it's just being broadcast, that there is no need to get people on the phone or get people on Zoom? Are there some meetings that, I think there's some meetings that if I was a member of the public, I just want to be able to see. I'd be able to, would like to just see a Board of Adjustment meeting. Can we do that without having participation? Is it legal to just broadcast it, or do we always have to have it so that the public can participate? If there's a way we could automate the process so that it just shows what's going on in the room and you have sound, is there a way we could do it without having a staff member present? I'd just like to experiment with that and see if that is a possibility or if there's some reason we legally can't do it. And again, if we could stop the change orders, that would really be helpful to me. 20 years of going to these meetings and hearing about change order after change order after change order, I don't know why we accept that. Thank you.
Thank you, Boyd. Anybody else? Seeing no one, and there's no one on hybrid access, I'm going to close public comment. Would anybody on the dais like to respond?
If I may. So with regard to the Shedler project and the bids, Cynthia, we are bound by the local public contracts law. And under the local public contracts law, municipalities are required to award bids to what's called the lowest responsible bidder. So there is always a level of due diligence on projects, unless it's a known vendor who you've dealt with before, where either engineering or a consulting engineer vets the low bidder to make sure and asks them the requisite questions to ensure that they are capable of doing the work, which then defines them as a responsible bidder. We have no ability, unless there is something at fault with the bid, or if we find that the bidder is not responsible by doing our due diligence, to reject somebody's low bid simply because it's the lowest bid. I am confident in talking to James and in talking to Matrix that this company is going to be capable of doing this. While we're on this, to Mr. Loving, there is no ability to tell a company that we won't approve a change order. That is not in concert with the local public contracts law. And a great example of why you would need a change order is the Walnut Street lot. You know, we had put out to bid that we were going to remove 9 underground fuel tanks, and when the contractor got into the ground, there ended up being 11 underground fuel tanks in addition to a concrete base that was in there that was unexpected. So it's within the level of reasonableness for that contractor to come back to the village and say, this was not in the scope of work, this is beyond what we bid on and what we were awarded to do, and thereby within the percentage allowable under the local public contracts law, we are going to submit a change order because there's additional work that was unexpected. We can't predict whether that will happen at Shedler. We can't predict whether that will happen on any project that we award an outside bidder to. However, we don't like change orders either, unless they're reducing the cost. So in this case, as in every case, you know, we impress upon the contractor that within the scope of work, and unless there's something really beyond the scope of work of what was awarded, that we are not anticipating having any change orders relative to the project. With regard to the risk mitigation plan, Cynthia, you know, we were very clear at the November 13th meeting that we were going to take a hard look as part of the park development project, not as part of the soil remediation endeavor, that we were going to work with Suburban to come up with a design that protected people who were using the park in place of the berm. And I can tell you that as of today, we were continuing to have those conversations. They're in the process of refining those plans. And I can tell you that without getting into the specifics until they're presented to the public, that there are risk mitigations relative to the proximity of the highway that are being incorporated into that plan. As far as when the work is being done, I'm not sure exactly what your reference is, but at that meeting on November 13th and in subsequent conversations with your neighbors, we've always advised you that we would let the public know when the work is going to start. We've always said that we were going to let the public know when the work is going to start. The entire project is going to be directed, as far as street traffic goes, by the Ridgewood Police Department. Chief Lyons, after that meeting with the residents, came to me and suggested that we actually have a police officer on site during the workday, and that's his recommendation to my office as far as being able to manage the trucks coming in and out. We are looking to have the shortest route off of Route 17 onto the property and off of the property back onto Route 17 so that it does not disrupt the neighbors. We have opened up dialogue, or the police department has opened up dialogue with Dr. Schwartz about the possibility of just a block away relocating bus stops, which parents will have ample time, and we will inform them, or the Board of Education will inform them well before the work starts that their bus stop might be relocated by a block in order to not have the buses interact with the construction zone. And all of the work that has been done, including the tree removal, has all been overseen by our LSRP. So every safety measure that is required, even when we were on there and we abandoned the project to relocate the arborvitaes, the LSRP was represented on that site to ensure that the contractor was doing their due diligence, and they will do the same with the soil remediation contractor once this is awarded. And Mr. Loving, with regard to the televising of meetings, there's a lot of new equipment back there that Dylan can explain to you far better than I. I can tell you, watching him set up for these meetings and watching him stage these meetings, There's a YouTube aspect of this, there's a Swagit aspect of this, there's a Zoom aspect of this. I don't believe there would be any way of being able to broadcast meetings without having a staff member here to make sure that all of those avenues are being able to be provided in order to watch a televised meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you, Keith. Anybody else?
Heather, do you have an update on the photo? Do you have an update on the photo?
I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you. I did want to say two things that, from my perspective with respect to the communication with the Shedler neighbors, I'm unaware of a lack of communication revolving heavy equipment. So if you want to send that to all of us, we've seen everything that we haven't seen that happen. We're also going to, as Keith said, we're going to continue to communicate and continue, but you said there was heavy equipment, and the only thing that we've announced was the tree removal and the testing. So if you have an incident where you weren't communicated and you'd need to let us know, I think we would all welcome that. I do just want to add to the discussion of hybrid access, just so everyone, because I run it the most frequently. We still do have the issue that the whole council's sort of aware of, that occasionally we get an interloper, not a very nice interloper, and the police have to get involved. So we do take our security, we have someone unexpectedly show up and do something inappropriate with the streaming. So that's just one of the things I've learned, because I'm running it across multiple committees. It is a concern that I would have about being unmanned here. And that's it.
Anybody else? No? With that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. So I have